The Ramble On, talking media to death and diving into spoilers with Brendan.
And Nick, an autopsy for the sinners, an ascension for the saints of film and television.
Alright, now, let's dissect this movie.
The Ramble On! It's the Ramble On. I'm going to say it every time.
Alright, Detective Pikachu. Now, like we said, the effects were... I found them pretty entertaining. In fact, they were supposed to be the main driving point for the movie, but they were kind of shoddy in some areas.
Yeah, and I think that this is going to be kind of what you'll get me saying with every single point of this is, this is going to be a broad statement for everything about this movie basically, is it's kind of a crap Zootopia.
Yeah, it is!
And for the effects especially, this includes camera angles, this includes certain shots, this includes all the scenery they go to. A lot of this is it feels like it's kind of cribbing on Zootopia to the point of possible theft. Because remember, in Zootopia, the very opening is Judy Hopps is out in the countryside. She gets beaten up. She gets her drive to be someone. Then she gets on a train, goes into the city. We get the shot where she walks into the station, is in awe, looks around, sees all the different animals, the way the city is built for them, and we end on a shot of all the skyscrapers behind her back. Exact same shots are used for the opening of this movie.
Huh.
Exact same shots. Except where in Zootopia, we have these interesting things in the background happening. You know, we have the smoothie stand that's designed for both the gerbils that come in and for the giraffe that's there. We have these interesting designs. We have these buildings that are designed explicitly for the kinds of animals that work there. This one's just a city.
Yeah.
It's just a city. There's like Pokemon around, but it's not designed around them. Despite the fact that... Oh, also... in Zootopia, we have a little speech by Gazelle, where she says, "Welcome to Zootopia. We designed this so that predators and prey can live in peace." And during Detective Pikachu, what do we get? We get the founder of the city saying, "We designed the city so that man and Pokemon could live together in peace. Welcome to Metropolis."
Wow.
This movie is beat for beat cribbing like crazy on Zootopia, and I'm going to keep on bringing that up for everything. Because the plot is also very similar, if we want to move on to story, which is the idea that some Pokemon are going feral, it's becoming a real nuisance, and it's up to a brand new detective who just moved into town, along with the experienced but unusual choice for a detective, going to solve this mystery of this high aggression and possible drugs being used to cause this.
Holy shit, this is Zootopia.
But again, it is a shit version of Zootopia, because in Zootopia, where it ends up being this conspiracy about, like, it's about the underclass wanting to rise up over their perceived, the perception of being repressed by people who have given up on repressing them. And this one is just kind of, I'm crippled and I hate life.
Oh, yeah, and I'm gonna make everyone... No, I'm gonna bring the whole world into my weird, insidious plan. No, it's just so stupid.
And likewise as well, during this movie, there's a point where they say, you have to go to this secret area where the mayor's son is doing these terrible things to creatures to try and evolve them different ways. And in Zootopia, it's a plot about, there's a weird lab that's out in the boonies on a grassy field with a cliff, where they're doing strange trials on these animals to try and change them.
Jesus Christ, they really did rip off the entire Zootopia movie.
It's a shit version of it.
Oh my god. No, that's true. Like the lion from Zootopia, the billionaire's son was the red herring. Oh my god. Oh my god. I didn't even think of that until now. The parallels are too uncanny.
It's been really bothering me.
Well, I'm glad you got that off your chest. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think that if I was going to summarize the entire movie, though, this isn't just a shit Zootopia, because the ending is a bit different. It's a shit Zootopia along with a little bit of Paprika, which is an anime that was released about 12, 13 years ago, I want to say.
Okay, I was
Now-
about to say, I never saw Paprika. What's that
and
about?
So Paprika is an anime where the idea is about dreams. Basically, they create a device where a person can enter into a person's dream and use it to help with their therapy. The chairman of the company is a man who is handicapped in a wheelchair, and he wants to escape into dreams so he can escape being crippled. So he comes up with a way to merge the realms of dream and reality into one. The entire city at the end is just a clusterfuck of dreams invading the real world and vice versa. And the chairman is finally able to walk again in a new body.
Yeah, it's so goddamn stupid. His plot was just, I'm gonna transfer my consciousness into a Pokemon body. Not just any Pokemon body.
Nothing
though.
could ever stop me except for if you take the thing off my head. Oh no! It's very generic.
And he left a Ditto in charge of all things.
I mean, it was a modified Ditto, which was able to use to transform into any previously seen Pokemon, which would be useful.
Would be, yeah. It could even take the form of people, which is something we've never really seen a Ditto do, I don't think.
I mean, they technically foreshadow it earlier when he gets pushed off. He gets pushed off his set by a Ditto that turns into a stagehand.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right.
They foreshadow it, but it's still dumb.
So dumb. All right, so let's take a moment to. So we know it was a big letdown. So let me ask you, what were your expectations for the movie?
I was just expecting them to come up with an interesting city design that would reflect Pokemon existing, and a wide variety of Pokemon that would be not only seen but featured.
I agree. That's what my expectation was too. This huge mingling of Pokemon in real life.
I expected a dumb plot and all that stuff, but I just wanted to see the effects.
Our expectations plot-wise were low, and of course that bar didn't budge at all. Yeah, they were spot on with that anyway.
Unfortunately, though, I think that with the effects and I guess the plot a little bit, the Pokemon are barely important. Like, you could replace them with dogs and it would be the same plot line.
Well, so the Pikachu hogged more of the limelight, really.
Alright, so the premise of the movie is Detective Pikachu talks to the Pokemon, and the kid, whatever his name is, talks to the people, and they use their skills together to be an ultimate detective team, right? Now, what Pokemon does Pikachu actually talk to about this for evidence?
Yeah, other than, he interrogates Mr. Mime.
No, he doesn't. The kid does that.
Yeah, the kid does more of the heavy lifting than Detective Pikachu. No. Detective Pikachu does say that he can talk to Pokemon and translate for the protagonist.
He just doesn't ever.
That never comes back.
And speaking of, I think that this script is also really bloated. Like, I don't want to get into the habit of offering like script corrections or whatever, but this is a very bloated script, and you can tell because that whole scene that they play up in the trailers heavily with the Mr. Mime, where they're doing all the mime stuff, that goes nowhere because so the way it plays out is they go to Mr. Mime, he informs them that they came from the Roundhouse, the R drug, and then they go to this fighting ring where they find out something. He just gets arrested. That's about it.
I guess.
And then they go and visit the girl who's like, "Oh hey, I totally figured this out. It turns out that the mayor has a secret project he's funding out in here, right here, this place right here. Look, it's got a round top on top and everything." It's like, oh cool. The last half hour was completely pointless for us.
I know, yeah. And it just made me, the whole interaction between the characters, it just made me cringe because it was just so awkward, so. Oh, I don't know. What awkward and just. I guess the bloated's a good word for it because
the script is bloated. I think the interactions were bad, but what you'd expect more or less.
No, that's true.
And then there's a scene where and if you're following the hero's journey, where it looks to be where like all hope is lost, appears to be lost, and Pikachu's like, "No, I only hurt the people around me. I gotta go." And then he's walking back, and he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, these are Greninja stars. That means that the truck was forced off by the guy in the wheelchair, not by the Mewtwo. He was trying to help us." And then he gets to the town, he's like, "Oh, hey, wow, okay, you guys already figured that out. Okay, wow, that was a completely pointless scene I was in."
Well, I mean, and God, they gave away so much in the trailers too. I kind of thought
they faked the information for the trailers.
Oh yeah, that's right. Why were they so?
I don't know why they're so protective of this movie.
Yeah, it was a little weird to be this protective of this movie. I mean, I guess this had fan wink in it. I mean, it appealed to all kinds of different generations.
It
So.
didn't have to have fan wink. I think that's like there's a part in the movie where like the Professor Mewtwo's going on and he's like, everyone can be Pokemon. I'll make all of you into Pokemon. We'll be ascended beings. And I was sitting there thinking like, this is probably someone's fetish. This feels gross. Like, I just got that feeling of like, ugh, you guys really don't know the internet, do you? Ugh. And it's weird because that's part of this discordant tone of the whole movie is you have Ryan Reynolds where he'll get the occasional scene where he gets away with like a really dirty joke or like a way too adult joke, and I'm like, what? Where did that come from? This is a dumb movie for kids.
It really was. It's like you said, they definitely slipped in quite a few adult jokes like, on Ryan Reynolds' end.
There's one where like Ryan's like, have you ever kissed a woman? And then he's like, of course I have. And he's like, what, was it in your mom's canal? I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I'm like, oh my god, what? Jesus.
Get me the hell out of here.
I mean, there was some swearing. We're all fine with some casual swearing, but I mean, like, good lord.
I mean, this movie was too dumb to get away with that, though. Like, it felt the movie was like, this is one of the few movies I've seen where, like, I was in the theater and I was just like, oh god, I'm embarrassed to be here. What am I doing here? This is just a movie for dumb kids. Oh god.
we didn't have many expectations for this movie, plot or character wise, but what really
it still disappointed me a little bit.
Yeah.
It more or less met my expectations, but I was still a little bit disappointed because the effects weren't good enough.
That's where we were really let down, the effects, because again, we were hoping for a little more mingling of Pokemon, more debuts of certain Pokemon in real life.
I mean, I was hoping for an interesting city that was designed around Pokemon, not an outright bad job of setting where your place is located, because I noticed that like all the buildings and stuff in the city, they have like Japanese signs. There's a bunch of Japanese stuff in the background. It's clearly supposed to be like Japan, right?
Yeah.
Except when they go out to the English countryside, and you can tell it's the English countryside because they have a British license plate on the car they're driving.
Oh, and there's only like one Japanese dude anyway, so...
So it raises the question of, are we in Japan or are we in Britain?
I don't know. We're in Rim City? Is that, what would they call it? I don't know.
Rhyme City?
Rhyme City.
Which, like, you have the kind of this American accent on these characters, like Ryan Reynolds and the main character. They both have this American accent on them, very, very distinct. But they're clearly in Japan, or a place that's heavily Japanese-oriented. And then they drive out to the British countryside to visit Mewtwo.
Yeah, what a transition to go from Pacific to Atlantic just like that in one island.
Alright, so I want to talk about the plot twist at the end, which is that Ryan Reynolds was the real father all along for this boy who has a black grandmother, a black mother, a long history of African American culture, short hair, no real facial hair, a completely different face, who looks nothing like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, screw it. Of course, Ryan Reynolds was the father of the protagonist.
This is one where like you find out that apparently Mewtwo is just a magic Pokemon who can turn people into Pokemon and vice versa. It's like, okay, whatever. I'm done caring about this movie at that point.
Yeah, same.
And it's like, well, the real father was in your Pikachu all along. So, okay, fine.
No, when they went to the lab, I was like, okay, fuck it, I don't care anymore. I just stopped caring at that point.
Now, my question is, if we're going to question the rich and deep lore and world building that is established in this movie, how come when she's turned into a Psyduck, she doesn't speak English like the guy who's turned into a Pikachu does?
None of them do. No one. I mean, yeah, you don't hear them cry out in human language. Like, why is that? But I guess that would be more terrifying.
Well, I mean, for the humans, they would hear it as Pokemon, but since we can hear Pikachu as audience members, we should be able to hear the humans turn Pokemon as people, right?
You'd think, yeah. I mean, that didn't add up. I don't know.
And yeah, that's a thing where I feel like a lot of times this movie, things happen just to get them to the next beat of the hero's journey.
Right, just to keep... It was like, what, 90 minutes? Not even 90 minutes.
It felt so robotic. It felt so robotic. There was no heart in
this. Totally. They just drummed it out. And the scenes were so fast-paced. They just kept drumming along.
And there's one scene in particular that bothers me, which is there's the part where like they have the giant torteras where like they're falling from stuff. It's the big action scene like, ooh, this is so dangerous. What's going to happen? And it's kind of like, this is dumb. This is so dumb. We all know. But anyways, the Pikachu gets hit with a tiny little rock. He gets knocked the fuck out, and then we have like the crisis moment, if you would call it that in the script, where he just kind of is at his lowest point. He thinks his Pikachu is dead or whatever. And he sees the Bulbasaur and he's like, "Get me a healer!" And then he just kind of follows his Bulbasaur around for a couple of minutes. He puts the Pikachu on a stone slab, and Mewtwo just appears out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, that was just really... Also, so...
Like, there's so many questions about that scene. Like, wait a minute, so you escaped from the lab and you're just within, like, a mile of it?
I know.
You're behind the fence, though. You go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Secondly, how is this a healer Pokemon? He's a pure psychic type that only has Recover. He couldn't possibly heal this Pikachu. Clearly, a moment where the screenwriter said, okay, fuck, how do we get them to meet Mewtwo? Why don't we have the Bulbasaur lead him to where he probably is?
Yeah, because why not? Why not? That's how
they meet Mewtwo, is they get Deus Ex bullshitted into meeting Mewtwo.
And immediately after meeting Mewtwo, he gets caught. Like, that was super fucking quick.
Yeah, a lot of the plot points do feel like they just come too fast.
Too fast, very.
Like, it just kind of...
Very left field.
Snap and you're gone.
Yeah. There's two things I do want to complain about this movie. One, we only see Pokeballs once in the opening scene when he tries to catch a Cubone that is super depressed about his deceased relative, which really not a good introduction to this.
Well, I thought it was a decent introduction because it foreshadows like, I thought it was perfect for you. And it's like, okay, well, I know that Cubones have dead mothers and they wear the mother's skull, so this guy's probably got a dead mother. And he's probably carrying the weight of that, which didn't turn out to be very true at all, but whatever. And then the part I like about this movie is they went out of their way to avoid having to explain why Pokeballs are ethical or why they're not ethical by saying, don't worry, we're going to have the whole thing take place in a city where Pokeballs aren't allowed, and we're never going to bring it up again.
Which sucked, because really, that takes out part of the lore of the franchise, or the whole, I don't know.
I mean, a lot of the fun of the franchise is the idea of being a Pokemon trainer and
catching them.
I think that the opening minutes had one moment I liked, which is where, like, you have his friend who is, like, this kind of dirty ragamuffin type guy who looks like just the classic trainer stereotype in the games.
Yeah.
And he's talking to his friend, he's like, okay, look, everybody else has left town already and gone on their journeys. Well, what are you doing here? Well, I'm an insurance agent. I've been up for multiple promotions. And he's like, you're so immature. Like, that's great. In this world, the people who run away from home and go and be vagabonds training Pokemon and doing dogfighting, basically, are the ones who are responsible adults, while the ones who are staying at home getting good jobs and working good hours are the ones who are the immature kids.
Thank you for bringing that up. I was just like, wait, so why is he giving him crap? Yeah, sure, I mean...
That never comes back, but it's still funny. It's still funny. I like that idea of, like, he's getting shit from everyone for living in his hometown and working a good job. I love the idea of that.
You're not going places. You can never amount to anything unless you become a Pokemon trainer.
What are you doing going to college, getting a law degree? What's wrong with you? Grow up.
Friggin' nerd.
Grow up. Get a real job. Catch Pokemon for a living and roam around fighting people.
Now, another thing I wanted to complain about there were hardly any Pokemon battles. I mean, there were like 3. I mean, one was with the Blastoise and the Gengar, but it was like background.
There's the one with Pikachu and Charizard, which
not much of a fight.
Which the trainer interferes anyways. And
yeah. Not fun.
And then there's Pikachu against Mewtwo, where he kind of called him and says, "You dumbass! There's no way you could ever beat a Mewtwo."
Yeah, no way in hell.
Which I feel like in a Pokemon movie, you should probably have a few trainer battles.
You would think, I mean.
This is another nerd complaint, but I want to say it. Why would you go with Volt Tackle instead of Thunder? The Thunder is such a badass looking move. Like, split the skies, rain down fiery hell upon your opponents. Instead of just the Pikachu turns more yellow.
Yeah, he turns into a yellow cannonball.
Have him figure out how to cast Thunder. That's amazing. Speaking of, too, this is also the rushed characterization where he goes from not knowing any of his moves and kind of having amnesia about all of his moves to, alright, I just need to warm up my cheeks a little bit and I can do some Thunder stuff. and that's his entire character arc.
I have amnesia. How do I eat Pokemon?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things, like, this is just kind of a bad Zootopia, though. That's the long and short of it. I think that if we want to move on to final recommendations...
Yeah, let's move on to final statements and recommendations.
Alright, I think that if you're here to look at an interesting world that's built around these characters and these and the unique nature of this world, watch Zootopia instead. It does a much better job. If you're looking for a movie that's about kind of this body horror and a melding of minds, then watch Paprika. It's a classic. If you're here to watch a good Pokemon movie,
This ain't it.
yeah. Oh, but one other thing I want to mention too. If you're curious about which Mewtwo this is the second Mewtwo, the one that is much more in touch with nature and is of a questionable origin, but seems to be much more in line with protecting Pokemon than harming humanity.
Yeah, that. Overall, I would not recommend this movie in theaters. I mean,
It's not good.
It's not good. It was refreshing to see all kinds of generations in that theater, young and my age, but really, it's just that $10 is invested elsewhere.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is if you're quite curious about who should see this movie, I'm not sure who should, because while the movie has a kind of dumb plot and it's clearly like a kids movie plot or like the Pokemon anime movies plot,
Yeah.
at the same time there's a lot of surprisingly dirty jokes in here, and
Yeah.
the whole credits scene is kind of supposed to be drawing on nostalgia from the old comics, the old games, like. The battle, the Gengar and Blastoise battle, that's going to go completely over your head for what that's a reference to, which is the opening of Pokemon Red and Blue. It's going completely over your head if you're like a kid who hasn't played like the really old Pokemon games.
The old school Game Boys.
Yeah, like I don't know who this movie is for.
It's
the
hard to nail
problem.
down. It's trying to pander to all kinds of demographics, and it's just...
See, I think it's nostalgia bait,
It is.
but it also has like stuff for little kids and like stuff from the other Pokemon gens, but they don't really get featured beyond just like background cameos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this movie is kind of aimless. It doesn't know who it's being made for, and it's a worse version of Zootopia.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, this has been Brendan.
And this has been Nick.
We'll see you in the next movie.